Hello everyone, we are from Team PBL RKS 605. Today we will present our project title, Penetration Testing 9. Before we continue, we would like to introduce our team. The team member are myself, inanta.rahmatan Ilahi, Dhea Putri, Mariza Hariyanti, Alsyah Widi, and Roni Alfredo. Let me briefly introduce our project manager, Mr. Anthony Haikal. On this slide, I will explain our project. Our project focuses on penetration testing to identify and validate security vulnerabilities on the target website. We conduct cyber attack simulation to identify system weaknesses and evaluate the website security level. The output of this project is a penetration testing report along with mitigation and remediation recommendation to improve website security. I will explain the penetration testing workflow based on OWASP strategy. Section 4.2. Week 1. Preparation. We study the target system, penetration testing concept, and project scope. Week 2. Methodology study. We learn OWASP strategy standard and graybox testing methods. Week 3 and 4. Project planning. We prepare the testing plan, documentation, timeline, and testing environment. Implementation phase. Information gathering and configuration analysis. We collect target information and analyze system configuration. Access, authentication, and input testing. We test login system, user access, session, and input validation. Client-side and API testing. We test browser-side security and API endpoints, exploitation, and validation. We validate vulnerabilities and measure their impact. Tool user. Some tools are Nmap, Bullshit, FortCheck, SQLmap, Hydra, and Metasploit. Reporting test. Finally, we create the final report and provide mitigation recommendation to improve security. Pre-engagement. In this test, we communicate with the client, define the testing method, and plan the engagement process to ensure clear communication and smooth collaboration. The main activities include 1. Contacting the client, preparing the RPV document, signing in the NDA document, and last, determining the testing method. This test is important to make sure the project runs legally, clearly, and professionally. Next will be explained by my team. Moving on to intelligent gathering phase, this is the step where we collect as much information as possible about the target before conducting any attack simulation. The main objective of the phase are to map the attack surface, discover value asset, and identify potential attack vector. We divide this phase into two categories. First, passive reconnaissance, where we gather information without directly interacting with the target, for example, using the who is command to retrieve domain registration details. Second, active reconnaissance, where we interact directly with the target, such as using the search for discovery, animation, and map for TCP sync scanning across all ports to identify open surface. Next, I will explain about threat modeling. Threat modeling is a systematic process used to identify, analyze, and anticipate potential security threats before they are exploited by unauthorized parties. At this stage, we identify critical assets such as important data, system, and user information that need to be protected. In addition, we identify potential threats, assess security risks, and determine mitigation strategy to improve system security.
Alright, project progress vulnerability analysis. So at this part, we conducted vulnerability analysis to identify and validate vulnerabilities found during reconnaissance. The purpose was to determine the most effective attack vector for further testing. We use several tools such as Nikto, Nuclei, Burst Suite, and Nmap for server web scanning, automated vulnerability detection, HTTP analysis, and service enumeration. From this process, we identify several potential vulnerability for the next testing phase. Next.
Okay, our next project progress is entering the exploitation phase of the penetration testing process. In this stage, we simulate the exploitation of vulnerability previously discovered during the vulnerability analysis phase. The goal of this process is to validate whether the vulnerability can actually be exploited by an attacker, while also measuring the level of impact and risk it could pose to the system. Furthermore, we use several tools, including Bullshit for manual exploitation, SQLmap for the SQL exploitation, SSStrike for the vulnerability exploitation, and Hydra for the brute force attack. Okay, for the logbook session, the first stage is pre-engagement with process of 10%. Then there is intelligent gathering that the 20%. Then there is threat modeling at the 29%. There is vulnerability analysis at the 40%. So far, we have carried out exploitation for 50%.
So one of the main challenges during testing was the presence of a web application firewall or WAF on the target websites. So the WAF automatically filter and block several testing payloads before they reach the server. As a result, the testing process became more complex because the method had to be adjusted to bypass the filtering mechanism. This challenge show that modern website already have active defense system to detect suspicious activities in real time.
As you can see on the screen below, here is the breakdown of each team member job responsible. The concludes our presentation. We are to any question or feedback. Thank you very much. Bye bye everyone.